Governor-elect Greg Abbott will be sworn in this week, and he has declared war on a growing list of local regulations. That includes the ban on fracking for oil and gas, plastic shopping bags, and limiting what trees property owners can cut down on their land. Abbott says Texas is becoming like California through a piecemeal process of local control over regulations. He says there's a need to preserve, quote, freedom and property lines, even if that includes overturning laws passed at the local level. So is Texas starting to look too much like California? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26for Life. Joining us live in the newsroom is our Roundup panel, and it's led by our Fox 26 senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico. All right, Chris, what do you think about Abbott saying that the state needs to take over what local cities have enacted?
It's an odd statement for a man who sued the federal government at least 40 times, all with the central premise that you can't tell local governments what to do. And now that he's won the governor's office, it appears that he wants local control to end at the governor's desk as opposed to the mayor's desk. And I would venture to guess that there's a whole lot of county judges and a whole lot of mayors that disagree with that, and that they're going to say they have the right to make their own laws, like passing a ban on plastic bags, that in that locale they think that will help the environment. And so we're going to see where this goes. I do agree with one thing, that the state does have the right. The legislature can pass a law that would overturn a city ordinance if they feel that that's in the state's best interest. But for the governor to say that we're going to take control over all of these issues, I think is a flip-flop on his campaign, and not in keeping with what he's done as Attorney General. Let me introduce our panel. Mustafa Tamiz, our political analyst, Jackie Valley, public policy analyst. Good morning again. Mustafa, is this a flip-flop?
Well, clearly it's not conservative, nor is it principled, because on the one hand, the governor-elect, or Governor Abbott, has been arguing this his entire career about local control. And as he's approaching the governorship, he changes his stance and says, I know what's best for you, local cities in Texas. You don't. I'm conservative. At the same time, it's not a very conservative position to take before you take the governor's office.
Now, he's sued the government 35, 40 times, the federal government, saying, leave us alone, local control, we get to make our own decisions. Now, is he saying it ends at the governor's desk instead of the mayor's?
Of course not. He didn't say that he wanted the state to take over local control or local ordinances. What he did say was that he felt that a lot of the cities and counties had laws and ordinances that were infringing on the freedoms of individuals. He did say also that he felt there were a lot of state laws that needed to be taken away, but we're not hearing much about that. What he was saying is he wants to make it more easier for homeowners and for business owners to do what they want to do to thrive, and he felt that there were many ordinances and laws, both state and local, that really was stopping us from doing that.
Isn't that the essence of local control? Denton, Texas, gets to say, we don't want fracking in here?
Well, look, the governor's being very clear. He's saying you can have all the local control you want unless I disagree with you. If I disagree with you, then your local control stops at your borders, because I kind of know what's best for the state. And I'm going to run the state not by a set of principles, but a set of opinions that I have.
It is, it is the state legislature's province to say to a city, we're going to pass a law that overturns your ordinance.
That certainly can happen in the legislature. The legislature can look at it and pass which is what the federal government and the United States Congress does. But the governor's not saying that. The governor's saying that he wants to be very active in preventing certain types of laws that he disagrees with.
Now,
and the governor has been very vocal in saying that he wanted to make sure that we continue our prosperity. We continue on the economic road that we have been. We are #1 in female business owners. We are #2 with entrepreneurs. He's made that clear. A lot of the things that he says he feels are infringing on business owners and homeowners, he wants to make sure that those are loosened and those are taken away so we can continue to prosper economically.
Like fracking and plastic bags?
No, like having licenses, like having certain permits that he felt that were not necessary.
Right. Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Bags. No, he wasn't talking about that only.
Okay, let's take a break and look at Twitter, guys. The first tweet we want to show you is this one coming in. It says, Governor-elect Abbott attacks unchecked regulation by cities as a huge threat to the Texas miracle. She says he's right. This person says, oh no, Abbott says Texas is being Californianized. This guy says it's a bad day in Texas when you start missing Rick Perry. Abbott against local governance. And then this person says that this is akin to Texas reining in cities, instituting regulations comparable to saying that feds should rein in states.
And that's kind of what we're looking at and what we're going to see. And I think you're going to see a big fight by the mayors and the county judges when the governor comes in and says you can't pass a ban on fracking in your county, because that is the essence, Jackie, isn't it, of local control. We don't want fracking in our county, and our county government's going to say no.
Well, first of all, the governor is laying out his policies and his principles, and he was stating some things that he felt that were infringing on people. Fracking was one of the things that he said.
Right.
The laws that he's going to propose or try to push, I doubt if it's going to be that specific. Again, the laws and policies he's going to push will be to help us grow our businesses and help entrepreneurs grow. So the fact that people are taking some of the things that he's saying and saying, oh, he wants to come in and take local control, is totally false. It's just for propaganda.
And what about that? You know, the governor gives a speech. Barack Obama gives a speech about giving free tuition, which I think we're talking about later, and everybody says you didn't give enough specifics. You know, in a speech, they can't lay out everything, can they?
They can't, but he's laying out his unprincipled position. His unprincipled position is that when it comes to local control, the only thing that will work for him is if he agrees with those principles and if he agrees with those ordinances. Otherwise, he believes that he knows what's best for the state. And that's an edict. That's not principles.
But in that same speech, he said 4 things. He wants tax cuts, greater school choice, increased funding for roads, and limits on spending for state agencies. None of that is being discussed. Those are the 4 things that he really emphasized in that same speech.
But he gave a lot of specifics about...
He gave a lot of specifics about those 4 things and said, these are the policies that are going to drive my governorship.
Final thought.
Well, people are talking about all of those things, but specifically when you run as a conservative and you run as a principled person, and the very first thing, a very big speech you make in policy, you're neither conservative nor principled, people are going to make a point that out.
We're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in a little while with 2 really, really good topics.